Hi, my name is Eddie Besant and I am a worship prophetic artist. So today we're going to do an introduction to art journaling. So art journaling was something I came across just over 12 months ago. I did a retreat online, which I didn't know how it was going to work, run by a woman called Jenna Bourne. Now, Jenna Bourne art journaling you can find on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram. She's amazing, and she got a group of amazing women who all art journal in completely different ways to do a session each over the week to then introduce people to art journaling and how they art journaled with God. So when I'm art journaling, it's very similar in a lot of ways to when I paint in a prophetic way or in a worship way. Generally, I am in that prayerful mode. I have got worship music on and I am worshipping, and I'm just allowing Holy Spirit to guide me and lead me in everything that I'm doing. And I'm enjoying God's presence, and I am just enjoying the peace and the joy that it brings as well. Alternatively, when I art journal, it is more about process and less about product. So when I'm painting, I'm thinking about trying to translate what God has shown me into a beautiful piece of art that has got a message to it and has an anointing in it, and it blesses people. In my art journal, it's more about what God is saying to me personally, and it's more about the process than the end product. So I will play around more, I will experiment more, I will use all different mediums. When I paint, I am an acrylic artist, but when I art journal, I'll use whatever I can get my hands on. And that has helped me to develop lots of things that I will then sometimes take into my painting. So as an artist, I paint whenever I can, but I only art journal when I need to. So for me, that art journaling is about answering prayers. It's about hearing God clearly over situations that I might be struggling with, or I just don't feel that I'm making progress in. So, or I want clarity or an answer for a question that I have. Sometimes it might be to do with understanding a teaching or a verse or even a song. I will mostly have worship music on when I do this. Sometimes I do it in quiet at times throughout the time that it takes me to do it. I might spend half an hour. I might spend 4 hours. It just depends on the day when I have that time allotted where I'm on my own and I can actually do it. It may depend on when God answers me through the process, or how I can manage to fit things in. So generally I work in a book, but I have worked on a canvas at times. This is my art journal. It's a notebook that was bought me a number of years ago by my husband, I think. I've got a real obsession over notepads. I like all sorts of notepads. So when he got me this one, I was really pleased because it was something really different. I like the old-fashioned style with the leather. But I used this notepad for a number of things initially, and I found that it didn't really work for any of those things. So when I found out about the art journaling retreat that I was going to do, I thought that this would be something that I would like to use to do that with. Now, the reason why this notepad works really well is because it's fairly thick paper. Now, I believe that this paper is recycled paper, and it works really well. Now, I actually ripped a number of pages out of this book because I didn't want my book to be perfect. So I ripped a number of pages out because I'd pre-used it. I could have done the stuff on top of it, but the perfectionist me didn't want to. And I did my preparation page. And I actually, as you can see here, I've used watercolours, and I've then used one of my favourite Bible verses, and I've actually embroidered around here. And I really enjoyed doing that. It took me a number of nights where I was embroidering through the paper, which is quite noisy, but it was really good fun. And then obviously that's the back of the page. I have meant to stick these two pages together for a while, but I haven't. Now, this book has got a number of things in here. I've used it as a sketchbook, and I've left those sketches in the book as well. So I'm not being a perfectionist over my book. Now, any book that you do use will probably get ruined. If you look here at the side, I've got loads of paint splats on the side of it, and it's not particularly clean or in perfectly good condition. But it was a notebook that I had at the time, and I didn't want to go out and spend. But if you have something better or nicer, then great. I will be very upset when I've finished this book, because it's actually been a real joy to use in this way, because I know that I'm using a book that I really thought was beautiful, and I'm doing some beautiful things in it. Not every page is beautiful, and I may at some point paint over the sketches that I've done in some way, maybe leaving some of the sections there. I mean, there's paintings in here that are sort of paint sketches that didn't quite work very well, but you know, this art back for me means art journaling, and it's been fun using this. But personally, I wouldn't go out and buy anything unless you have absolutely nothing in the house. So what you're looking for is a book that has a fairly thick paper, so that it can cope with however much water you're throwing on it. And if you're using watercolor or acrylic or anything like that, it will just build up and build up, and the pages get quite soggy. I find that with these ones, it tends to just absorb it quite nicely, and if I dry it, whether it's over time or whether it is using the hairdryer, it really does tend to hold the pages. Some of them get a bit stiff, but that's okay. It doesn't matter, because this is my private notebook. So I'm now showing you some of the books that are available in my local craft store. This is a cheap bargain store that you'll find on most high streets. Now, I would personally go for the brown one of these books. However, because of some of the paints that you use, you're probably better to go for the white. Watercolour on brown pages or black pages won't work quite so well. These are papers. These are pretty papers. I've always wondered what people did with these. I love the books. I always think they're gorgeous, and I never knew what to do with them until I started art journaling. And here we've got different sort of stickers and other things that you can just use. You can use the kids' versions of these, or you can cut out bits of paper and use them just as good. It doesn't really matter. So now we've got paints here. These are acrylic. We've also got some watercolour and some inks. Now, acrylic, they do acrylic paint markers. You can get paint sticks. You can get all sorts of different things. And just basically, it's about picking up what works for you and what you want to experiment with. Okay, paintbrushes, they have a really good range of paintbrushes. They're perfectly adequate for journaling. Gesso. This is the one thing that I would probably recommend you go out and buy. I think we got this from Amazon for about £12 and it's lasted me probably almost 12 months now. I use it for paintings, I use it for art journaling as well, and it really works well. You can use white paint alternatively, but it isn't quite as effective. Okay, modelling paste. This is something I've tried to use a number of times in my artwork, but I've not succeeded. I recently watched a video of how to use it in art journaling, and I think I've got it right now, but I haven't actually tried it. So I will be trying to use it when I do my next lot of videos. Glue. I've used glue sticks. PVA is something I've used a lot over the years. Mod Podge was something I was recommended to use for art journaling. I haven't actually tried it yet, so we'll see. Stencils. This is a collection of stencils that I've bought over the years. I don't actually have very many and I don't use them very often. I don't always find they work very well for me, but I am looking to experiment more with them as I art journal. Gold leaf is something I use quite a lot in my prophetic art, especially, so I have it in the house. I tend to try and collect any leftover bits or bits that I take off when I rub it away or brush it away. I also have gold leaf and bronze leaf that came in a pack at one point, so I try and keep it and collect it and make sure that I don't waste any. It can be expensive, but it's great to use. These are the tissue papers between the gold leaf. Don't waste anything. Washi tape. Now, I always wondered what these pretty tapes were and I never really knew how to use them. I haven't yet, but I have a collection of a few that I may be experimenting with in the near future. Okay, general tools. So gold pen, great to have a gold pen. A lot of art journals use white pens. I haven't found one that's worked for me yet, but I'm still looking. I've got some other art bits, but you can use basically what you find around the house. I find lids from bottles and all sorts of things great for getting that perfect circle, sponges and anything that you can use to print or use. Masking tape. Now I use masking tape a lot for my artwork, and if you want a clean edge around your piece of work, you can tape around your edge to give you clean lines. Black markers. These are all different nib sizes and they are great, but I can use a biro or other things as well, so whatever you have. So I hope that the information that I've shared with you is helpful and helps you sort of prepare for our art journaling adventures. So hope to see you again soon. God bless.